All right, let's look at how we can design some things on TinkerCAD. So I am in here. I went to my designs right here, and I'm going to press my new button. I'm going to make a new 3D design. Let's see, let's move this guy. Maybe, yeah, you should go up there. All right, so some things to note first. Okay, we have this grid right here, and I could edit that grid if I needed to. It's 200 millimeters by 200 millimeters, and I could change my units to inches and stuff. But we're gonna stick with millimeters since that's what our printers use. My grid right here is at 1 millimeter. So what that means is that as I move things over, it will move 1 millimeter at a time. It'll be precise in that it will know 1 millimeter at a time. You see, I have my work plane right here. This is the surface right here, and I'm just using one finger to look around. I'm using my touch screen just with one finger right here to look around. Okay, my work plane, this is the bottom right here. And you can see all these squares. These squares are 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter. Okay. Usually when we're designing stuff, we want to design it in the middle of our work plane. That's where the printer would work best as well. But let's talk about a few things that we have right here. You have this cube right here, and this lets you just quickly change to different views of your thing right here. So you can just click and drag on that as well. But I usually like to just use my finger to kind of get to where I want. Okay. I have the home button, which kind of just resets my view back to the front and the top, kind of an angled view here. Okay. I have this button. So like if I had a bunch of like, let's say, all right, right now I'm pinching out with my two fingers to zoom in. Okay, let's say I was working on something. I had something over here, okay, and I had something over here. Okay, if I wanted to fit that all in my view, I would press this. And let me just show you what that looks like. So I'm going to drag that over there. Okay, and then let me zoom out a little bit. Let me get something else over here. Okay, if I press this, that's going to zoom out so that I could at least see both things. Okay, they're both there. Okay, so we fit everything into our view. I could zoom in right here. I could zoom out, and then this guy just makes everything flat. Okay, so that we go to like just the top flat surface. We don't see things in 3D anymore. So we usually like this view right here. Okay, there's a few things. Okay, again, click on something, backspace to delete it. All right, so we have one finger to like look around. We use two fingers to zoom in. We pinch in and out for zooming. And if I just move two fingers, I'm not pinching. I have my two fingers and I'm moving them kind of in the same direction. That lets me just move where I'm looking. Okay, so that's how we kind of move right there. One finger looks around, two finger pinching, zooming in, two finger swiping, moving around. All right, so some really basic things that we can do right here is we have some different shapes right here. Variety of shapes, some text things, okay, lots of things right there. You could go in, there's some other things down here, but we're gonna start with just basic shapes. Okay, if I want to take a shape, I can click on it, and then I could decide where I want it to be. So for example, if I want this cube, put it right there. Okay. Now, some things right here. There's this thing called the inspector. This allows me to see some of the details right here. Um, Usually on something like this, a cube, the steps aren't going to matter as much. That's more for something like either a sphere or some of these other things like this, where the steps are kind of like, I don't know, like how many steps it's going to take. So like the fewer steps, the less perfect it would look. But that's only for these more round ones. I could change my length and width right here. I can drag this slider, and I could also type in what I want it to be. Okay, length, width, and height. For like spheres and things like that, I have the radius as well. Okay, on this one, as I increase the radius, you see my box becomes more of a square. But I could do this for my edges right here. So if I wanted more of a rounded cube, okay, I could do that radius feature right there. Okay, now for many of these, if we zoom in right here, okay, you'll notice we got the sliders right here. Okay, so I could adjust it this way as well. And then this one here, obviously our top and bottom. Okay, right here. Oh, that just allows us to do that one. So the corners allow us to do both width and height. Okay, you'll notice some other things right here. I have these little rotating arrows that will let me rotate this along that axis. So this one we're going to be rotating this way. And the further my mouse goes out, the more precise I can go. If I go in right here, okay, a little movement is going to make it go more degrees. If I want to be precise, I take my mouse out here. So let's not do that, but I can rotate it this way as well. Okay, and then this way. All right. Next thing, we have this cone at the top. That allows us to move things up and down, up and down. Okay, whenever we're printing things, we do want it to be on our surface. Okay, but sometimes we might be stacking something on top of another object to kind of smush them together, and we need to bring it down. So we want this to be 0. Oops, 0. That means that it would be sitting on our plane. And we can look at that. We see, boom, perfect. Okay, couple other things here. We have these shapes where we make, see they're the same. They're a cylinder in a box, but they're slashed. Okay, what that means is these are holes. Okay, so let me show you something here. Let me change this right here. Let me make it smaller as well. And you'll notice that on each of these shapes, I can change it to a solid or a hole. These ones are just default to a hole. Okay, what does that mean? That means that I want to take this shape and I want to, if it's inside this shape right here, okay, I'm gonna make that not solid. Okay, so that hole says I want that to be not solid, that area. Okay, now if I do that, I usually want to click and drag and select these things right here, and I'll want to group them together. Okay, and now you see that's the shape we got. So we made that hole inside that shape. So if we ever have a shape and we want to remove stuff from it, we use the hole. And then we want to group them together so that it stays that way. Okay. Some other things, obviously we could copy and paste, but I think that is enough to kind of get you started.